Hi, welcome to LB0FI India Norwegian Ham Ventures. I'm Morten, LB0FI India. And welcome to a space you rarely see this way. You usually see it from this camera pointing towards this wall and the green screen ahead of it. This is my shack, my studio, my hallway, a little bit of a multifunctional space, but I thought I'd give you a shack tour. I've done that once before as one of my first videos when I started this YouTube channel. But that's a while ago and a lot has changed. So I thought I'd do a 2023 shack tour update. And first of all, let's look at the space. This is a hallway in the middle of my house. That's my daughter's bedroom. That's my son's bedroom. That's me and my wife's bedroom. Behind you is the living room, and over there is the kitchen and the bathroom. So this is in the middle of the house, which poses its own set of challenges. But enough said about that. Anyway, let's go ahead. And I'm thinking we're starting over here. And we'll have a look at this rack. We'll have a look at the desk and the shelving over there. And just see what's in my shack. What's the equipment I use at home. So let's start all the way in the top. What you see here is my amateur license. Don't need to have that framed on my wall, but I think it's kind of cool. Then we have an antenna switch here. These labels fall off all the time, which are my HF antennas. We have an 80-10 meter Windham antenna, or off-center fed dipole, as you call it, on the other side of the Atlantic. We got a 40-10 end-fed half wave. We got a 3-element 6 meter Yagi. And we got a 2-element 10 meter HB9CV Yagi. In addition to that, on that mast, there is also a 3-element 2 meter beam. Continuing on, we have a scanner over here. It's an ICOM ICR2 for when I want to listen to airband. And as you probably can see behind here, there's another antenna switch, which switches my discount to the different units I want to listen to. Moving a little bit further on, we got this Uniden UBC244CLT FM's only scanner. I use it for marine VHF. I have all the marine VHF channels programmed in, so I can listen to whatever's happening on the sea. Beneath that is the Alecraft XV144 transverter. Takes 28 megahertz and produces 144 out. So my plan is to use that for 2 meter digimodes and a 2 meter sideband, but there hasn't really been any openings since I got it, so I haven't really tested it. So let's move on a little bit further here. On this next shelf, we have a cross needle meter, power and SWR meter. Both VHF, UHF, and HF. So this is hooked up to both the transverter here and to my HF rig, which we will get back to. On this side, we have a Raspberry Pi 3 and an Alinco DR135 Mark III. And these two items, they're part of my latest project. I'm going to try to get a Digipeater and iGate up and running. So I'm going to use these two items for that. Further on, we have my LDG Z100 Plus tuner hooked up to this IC7300. And by all means, this is my favorite radio of all time. It's a great radio. Don't really need to say anything else. It just works, and it's the first HF rig I've owned that I've never wanted to replace. And just beneath here, we have my Yaesu 450C rotor controller, which controls the antennas I mentioned before. And all the way down here, we have my bencher valves, and from the amount of dust on them, you can probably see that I don't operate CW. I don't know CW, but this is here kind of to motivate me to try to do some CW. So let's move on to the center of the desk. And then on this shelf, we have my Stream Deck, which I use when I stream to switch scenes. And I got my daily 2 meter 70 centimeter radio, which is a Kenwood D700. I use that for both the 2 meter 70 centimeter FM and packet radio. It's a great rig. It's probably about 20 years old, but it still performs like any top-notch 2-meter analog radio. And the radio itself is actually tucked in the bottom shelf here. Further on, yeah, my YouTube idea whiteboard here, and just an azimuthal world map, so I know where to point my beams. We have probably the best tool in my shack, which is the ham clock. I made a video about that. I'll put a link up somewhere around here for you to click on. Then it's my Google Home. Okay, Google, what's ham radio?
According to Wikipedia, amateur radio, also known as ham radio, is the use of the radio frequency spectrum for purposes of non-commercial exchange
Okay, Google,
of messages.
Stop. So let's take a look at the bottom shelf here. And underneath the ham clock, I just have the keypad for the Raspberry Pi that's powering the ham clock, some headphones, some calculators, some tape, just stuff you'd need as a ham. And down here I have somewhat of a project space, and don't mind the dust. It's usually more dusty than this. Got a couple of antenna books here for a couple of projects I'm working on. I got the Mobilink TNC. I got a cup of coffee, and this is a good time to tell you about if you want to support the channel, you can buy me a cup of coffee over at Buy Me a Coffee. Link down below in the description. And got a little bit of gold here. I got 2 Raspberry Pi Zeros, which I'm probably going to use for some projects, but currently they're not in use. And finally here, the last shelf. I got some HTs up here. What kind of HTs that are here kind of changes depending on what HTs I got, which I've sold, which I bought, and such on. But my most used HT at the moment is this Retivis RT3S running OpenGD77. Another favorite is this Yaesu FT70D. It's a great radio except for one thing, the battery life. And then I got a couple of shelves here with just some junk boxes, some project boxes with different kind of stuff, which might prove useful or might not prove useful. And finally here down on the bottom, we have my shelf of radios that I don't use at the moment, but I might find some use for at a later time. As you can see, I like old radios. So this concludes my shack tour. What do you think about my shack? Is it what you thought it was? How's your shack? Let me know down below. Is there anything you have opinions about? Of course, your hams. There's bound to be something here you got opinions on. Leave comments down below and I'll try to get back to them. Also, do like and subscribe if you like. If you want to support the channel a little bit more, you can either buy me a coffee or support the channel on Patreon. That's up to you. And until next time, 7-3. Oh, there's one more thing for you guys who've watched this long. You might ask yourself how I power my shack. And that's from these 2 power supplies. The left one is a 30 amp and the right one is a 25 amp, I think. Works fine. I prefer to keep my radios on different power supplies, just so I can power them independently. So, once again, for those of you who watched this far, 7-3.